Once again, it's good to be here. It's good to see everyone. We are thankful to God for you all being here. We're thankful to God for this day, especially in light of the bad weather that we're having right now. So we're especially grateful and thankful to those who decided to come on out, especially in light of the rain, and come out because of their spiritual obligation to God, to be with His people, to worship in spirit and in truth. And for that, we are thankful for you being here. If you're visiting for the first time here at the Easthaven congregation, you are an honored guest. Your friend, your family, we appreciate you being here with us on this particular day. You know, when you look at the world, some people impact the world in different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Some people impact the world because of the fact that they have money. You look at some of the world's billionaires and uber millionaires, and Jeff Bezos, and some of your athletes. They can impact the world in a way that some of us will never ever be able to impact the world because they have the financial means to do so. Some people impact the world with their education. A lot of our students, they go off, they get education, they get a bachelor's degree, master's degree, go on to do doctoral work, and then you go impact the world because they have the education and the credentials behind their name to get in some of these Fortune 500 companies. Sometimes people make an impact in the world because they have sports abilities. You thought I was thinking about some of our great athletes and the kind of money these guys making nowadays, $140, $160 million contract in demand trades, but they got the ability to do so. Some people impact the world because they got away with words. You think about your Maya Angelou's, the quotes that she said over the years, and sometimes we still use her quotes. And you think about some of the poems and the poetry that we read, and people can impact the world in all those ways. But when you look in Scripture, and you look at Enoch, Enoch impacted the world by his faith in God, by his behavior, by his morality. So when I think about the importance of Enoch and what he did and how he lived in the world, I believe it's imperative for us to look at this man by the name of Enoch and to look at his example and to be able to take a cue from Enoch's example and to see how he impacted the world. So this morning we're talking about Enoch's example.
All right.
Enoch's example. Let's advance the slide, Brother Green, if you don't mind. Enoch's example. When we look at Enoch, first of all, Enoch is saluted in Scripture because of his faith and his morality. Enoch is in Scripture because he had a great amount of faith in God. If you will, look at your Bible. Look at Genesis chapter 5 and verse number 21 beginning. Genesis 5, verse number 21. And notice what it said through verses 24. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. We all are familiar with Methuselah. The oldest living person lived to be 969 years of age. And Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah 300 years and begat sons and daughters. All the days of Enoch were 365 years. But verse 24 is a reiteration of verse number 22. And Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Twice it is stated, Enoch walked with God. And he walked with God so that he was not found. God took Enoch. You know, when you think about life, and you think about all of the important people that we deem to be important, deem to have some significance, here is a man who has to some degree lived in obscurity, but here's a man by the name of Enoch walking with God, and God takes him. Now you have to keep in mind, now this is around the time that God was actually upset with the world. Genesis chapter 6 and verse number 5, notice now, this is just a couple of years prior, where man was becoming progressively worse, and God saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. And it repented the Lord that he had made man on the earth, and it grieved him at his heart. And the Lord said, I will destroy man whom I have created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping thing, and the fowls of the air, for repenting me that I have made them. Now, Enoch lived just a couple of years prior to that, when you go back to that time period. So here's a time period characterized where God got so upset with the world. God got so upset how people were living and how they were treating one another. God said, it repented me that I have made man on the face of the earth. But here's a man by the name of Enoch, living just prior to that. Enoch walking with God. Enoch pleasing God. And so I think Enoch is somebody that we ought to study. Amen. Let's advance the slide again. All right. Now notice now, when we look at Enoch, here's Enoch not only living righteous before God, but Enoch is also in the Hall of Faith. Yeah. Look at Hebrews chapter 11. Hebrews chapter 11. We always quote Hebrews 11 verse number 6. But without faith, it's impossible to please him. For he that cometh to God must believe that he is, and that he is the reward of them that diligently seek him. But the verse before that also talks about a certain person who pleased God. By faith, Enoch was translated that he should not see death, and was not found. Why? Because God had translated him. For before his translation, he had this testimony that he pleased God. God says a mouthful about Enoch. Oh yeah. 3 times it is mentioned. He was translated. Before his translation, he was translated. And then God translated him. The word translated there does not refer to the way that we look at the word translate. You know, sometimes we use the word translate as we talk about language. And somebody, you might need a translator if you go to a different country and you don't speak the native tongue. And so it's not talking about translate like we talk about a Bible translation. The word translate, that means to transpose. It also means to transfer. All right. And we know when somebody has a job and they get transferred with their job, that means they get moved. So that's the idea. God moved Enoch. God moved Enoch from earth to glory. You know, we say that. We're going from earth to glory. Yeah, but we got to go through the cemetery though. Yeah, right. Yeah. Enoch did. Right. God translated Enoch so that he did not see physical death. The Bible says Enoch was not found. People were looking for Enoch. Yeah. They were looking for Enoch. Just one day, his children, they woke up. Where's Enoch? We can't find Enoch. Where is he? Have you seen him? Yes, sir. Have you talked to him? When the last time you heard from him? Enoch was not found. You know they had signs at Walmart looking for Enoch. Mister, have you seen him? They had pictures on the back of milk cards. Have you seen them? They sent out word. They sent out APB, all points bulletin. Has anybody seen Enoch? Where is he? We haven't talked to him. We don't know where he went. We don't know the last time somebody talked to Enoch. That man's faith and his behavior was so important that God took Enoch from earth to glory. God did that only on one other occasion. Okay. With Elijah. All right. To show you how special that is and how important that is, God took a man and did not allow him to see physical death. Yes. But I think we got to call attention to the fact of when God did it. Okay. Go back to Genesis chapter 5. Genesis 5. In verse number 21 and 22. Notice what the text says. Genesis 5, 21 and 22. Notice how it starts off. And Enoch lived 65 years and begat Methuselah. Okay. Verse 22 says, and Enoch walked with God after he begat Methuselah. And then it also says he had other sons and daughters. When you look at Enoch's example, I believe it is a great testament to the progression of life. Yeah. That especially men. When you see Enoch's example, you ought to see here is a man after he started having a family, that he begins to walk with God. You see, at some point, men got to grow up. Amen. You got to grow up. Amen. You got to be a man. That's why it's so interesting today. You see people, you see especially these young couples, they have so many different fights and arguments because they get married young and he hadn't grown up yet, she hadn't grown up yet. But at some point you got to grow up. You may be here this morning. You may be married to a guy. He's still playing Xbox. All right. PlayStation. Yeah. Sega Genesis, Nintendo, and for Brother Parker and General Atari. Haven't grown up yet. At some point, men got to grow up. Don't you see it in Enoch? After he started having children, and I assume because he had a wife to have children, and he was well pleased with God, so he had to be married in order to please God. So when he took a family, he took a wife, and started having children, he started living differently. You know why? Because when you got to live for other folk, values change. Perceptions change. Things that you used to do, you don't do it no more. You know why? You got other folks counting on you. And so at some point, men got to grow up. It's just a certain expectation from God about men. Look at 1 Corinthians 16, verse number 13. 1 Corinthians 16, 13. Paul says something interesting. Paul says, watch ye, stand fast in the faith. And then he says, quit ye like who? Men. Like men. He didn't say women. No. He didn't say little boys. He said, quit ye like men. The word quit ye like men, that's one phrase in the original. It means to make strong, to make brave. Then he says, be strong. So watch ye, stand fast in the faith. Quit ye like men, be strong. Paul is saying, you know what? When the members of the church of Corinth, we got to be men. You see, there's a certain expectation about being a man. Turn 18 don't make you a man. All right. Turning 21 don't make you a man. That's right. Being able to buy alcohol don't make you a man. Amen. Being able to purchase cigarettes don't make you a man. Amen. Just because you bring a child in the world, that don't make you a man. Amen. You know, somebody, I'm a grown man. Are you really? You see, there's a certain expectation about a man, and God knew that. Y'all remember long ago, Tony Braxton had a song, just be a man about it. You see, when it comes down to men as opposed to women, God has always had a certain level of expectation. You go back to Adam, to the patriarchal age of which we talked about yesterday. That's why in that patriarchal age, you know who God dealt with? The men. The heads of the families, the heads of the tribes and the clan. God spoke to them and God said, this is what I want you to do. You give it to your family, you give it to your wife, and then they're supposed to follow you. That's why when you look at Abraham, you look at Joshua, you look at those faithful men in the Old Testament, those men could communicate God's will to that family. That family's still alive. It's amazing when you look at those Old Testament patriarchs. Those men had their family lives and their domestic lives in order. You see, there's a certain expectation when it comes to men. Look at 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse number 8. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse number 8. You're going to be a man, and you look at Enoch's example. Here's Enoch walking with God after he starts having a family. 1 Timothy 5, verse number 8. What does that say, Brother Hampton?
But if any provide not for his own.
If any provide not for his own. You see that? You start having a family, you start having children, you have a wife, you got to take care of them. Right. It is not the government's responsibility to help you take care of your children. Amen. It's all right. It's your responsibility. It's not the church's responsibility. No. It's not the school's responsibility. No. It's not the AAU coach's responsibility. It's your responsibility. Paul said, but if any man has done what?
God provide for his own.
If a man won't provide for his own,
and especially for those of his own house,
especially those in his own house,
he had denied the faith.
He had denied the faith.
And it's worse than an infidel.
He's worse than an infidel. He's worse than an unbeliever. Paul said, you got to take care of your family, man. What is interesting? In the book of 1 Timothy, this is an aside note. All right. The word house there is used in many different ways. 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 8, he's speaking to the man, and he says he got to provide for his own house, his family. When you go back to 1 Timothy chapter 3, verse number 15, the church is likened to the house of God. But if I tarry alone, that thou mayest know how thou ought to behave thyself in the house of God, which is the church of the living God, the pillar and the ground of the truth. There's house again. But it also, look at 1 Timothy 5 again, as it relates to the woman. I want to make a point. 1 Timothy 5, verse number 14, what does he say?
I would therefore that the young women marry, bear children, guide the house.
Guide the house. In the book of 1 Timothy, house, 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 family, the idea of family. The church is the house of God. It's the family of God. But in 1 Timothy 5, it's the man's responsibility to take care of the house. It's the wife's responsibility to guide the house. Let's put it in practical terms.
All right.
If you come to my house and I got my family living outside in a vehicle,
All right.
y'all ain't gonna look at my wife
Right. What's going on, Freeman?
and say, "What Freeman doing? Got the family sleeping in that car." Or if you come to my house, all the utilities is cut off, you ain't gonna look at my wife.
No.
My friend got his family sleeping in the dog farm. You know how hard to get in Memphis in the middle of July?
Yes, sir.
He ain't got no air conditioner on. You ain't gonna look at my wife. But if you come to my house and it ain't cleaned up,
Now you quit the Look at the wife, Daddy.
if you come to the house and ain't got no food in the refrigerator, if you come to the house and Chelsea and Chloe hair not done, y'all ain't gonna look at me. But 1 Timothy 5, verse number 8, Paul said it's my responsibility, the man's responsibility, to take care of the house. So Paul says we got to be like Enoch. We got to walk with God. We got to be men. So when we learn from Enoch, after Enoch started having a family, marrying, children, trying to rear children, he begins to walk with God. Every husband, every father, every man, we ought to be walking with God. Amen. We ought to be in fellowship, in sync with God. The word walk there means to tread upon.
Yes.
It means to make progression. It means to take oneself. When the New Testament used the word walk, it's talking about taking yourself somewhere in a progressive manner. The idea behind walking is you can't rush through this thing. So here's Enoch,
Right.
walking with God.
Oh, we go.
Every day he wake up, he walking with God.
Walk with God.
God, what will you have me to do today? I'll do it. God, where will you have me to go today? I'll go. God, how will you have me to live today? I'm going to do it. That's walking with God. But then, notice this. Christians, we can walk with God.
Walk with God.
As a matter of fact, we must walk with God down here if we expect to be with God up there. You see, Enoch walked with God down here, and then God took him up there.
Yes.
You see, you and I not going to get that privilege. So what we have to do in the interval time, we got to walk with God. And it's interesting, the New Testament tells us different ways we got to walk. Let's look at it. We're talking about Enoch's example. First of all, we got to walk by faith. 2 Corinthians 5, verse 7. Paul says what?
For we walk by
faith
and not by sight.
and not by sight. That simply means, brothers and sisters, we got to learn to put our trust in God.
Yes. Yes.
You cannot always live your life depending on the 1st and the 15th. What do I mean? I'm not trying to diminish how people get paid. I'm just simply saying sometimes we put more trust in the fact that we get paid than we do God. What happens sometimes when the government shuts down and they delay your paycheck? Or like they had last year in one school system, when the school started at the beginning of the year, folks supposed to get paid, and then the school system couldn't even pay them. We can't always put our trust in our paycheck. But so many times we do that. You can't always put your trust in the stocks and the stock market. We got to learn how to trust God.
Amen.
Believe it or not, if you haven't experienced it, there are going to be some times in your life where money don't mean a thing.
Amen.
What's going to be the most important thing in your life is your faith with God. And so we got to learn how to trust God. That's why Paul says, for we walk by faith and not by sight. If you go back to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verses 16 through 18, he talks about not looking at things which we see. Look at 2 Corinthians 4, verse number 16. Look what he says.
For which cause we faint not, but through our outward man perish. Yet the inward man is renewed day by day.
He just simply said we all get old.
Amen.
We all aging. You know when you're young, you thought you never gonna get old. You thought you're gonna be young forever. But we all aging. The point is, some are just aging faster than others. We all get old. We all getting gray hairs. Look, right now, even though you 10, 12, 15, some point it's going to turn gray.
Yes.
Some point it's going to fall out. We all age. That's the natural process of life.
Amen.
Paul is saying the body is aging. We're getting older. What else does it say?
For our light affliction, which is but for a moment.
Our light affliction, the things that the Christians were going through in that first century, Paul wanted to reassure them that it was just for a moment. But God has something better prepared for them. Read on.
Working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory.
While
we look not at the things which are seen.
That's the point.
But
Paul said, stop putting your trust in things which are seen, but in the things which are unseen. That's what we have to do. We have to learn how to trust God. None of us have ever seen him, but we know he's there. Oh, yeah. We know he's answering prayers. We know he's working some things out of our lives. We know he's adding some things to our lives. He is enriching our lives. Sometimes he's challenging our lives. We know he's there. So Paul says in 2 Corinthians 5:7, for we walk by faith. That's in the same context. So we got to learn how to trust in the God of heaven. Proverbs 3:5-6, the Bible tells us, put all of our trust in the Lord. Trust in the Lord all of thine heart and lean not to thine own understanding. We have to learn how to trust in God as opposed to what we can physically see. But Paul says that's a walk.
Yeah.
We walking by faith. Let me ask you a question this morning. Because of the fact that Enoch was in the hall of faith, he had faith.
All right.
If you were living in Bible times, do you believe, and this is just a personal question for you to ask yourself, do you believe that you possess the kind of faith where you will be in God's hall of faith?
All right.
Because so many times we look back at these men and women and we stand amazed at what they were able to do. But guess what? They were men and women just like us. But right now, do you possess the kind of faith that if the Bible was still being written in our day and age, God will put you in his hall of faith because of the faith that you have? If you don't have that kind of faith, you need to start working on it. You need to start developing the kind of faith that regardless of what happens in life, you're never going to change or be moved away from God. On so many occasions, the Apostle Paul said, I'm not going to be moved from God. You know why? He had faith in God. He trusted God. And so what we need to understand, that's the kind of faith that we got to have, and that's the kind of faith that we got to walk by. So we got to walk by faith. That's how Enoch did it. Not only that, but we got to walk honestly. Look at Romans 13:13.
All right.
Notice what Paul says.
Let us walk honestly.
Let us walk honestly.
As in the day.
As in the daytime.
Not in rioting or in drunkenness.
He says not in rioting and drunkenness and what else?
Not in chambering and wantonness.
Chambering and wantonness and what else?
Strife and envy.
Not in strife and envy. And Paul said we got to walk honestly. Some of you sisters is still in here lying about your age. That was the thing, people used to lie about their age. You know, they used to say, 40 is the new 30. Yeah, right, 40 is the same old 40. Some of y'all still lying when you get pulled over by the police. Just tell the man whether or not you got car insurance or not.
Fine.
You ain't got to lie about it. They gonna find out.
Oh, yeah.
Paul said, walk honestly. Christians have to be honest. We must be honest. It should not be the case that we are the ones who lying. I read something the other day about lying. A guy said, man, there's too many people walking around here with diabetes. They lie about everything. A classic case of diabetes, lie about everything. Paul said we got to be honest. We got to walk honestly. And what else does he say? We can't walk in rioting. The word rioting doesn't mean what we think about as we think about civil unrest. When people get mad with the government or they get mad with their jobs and they start rioting and picking. The word rioting is a word that actually is synonymous with getting drunk. It was used in the first century that when people would start drinking, after they drunk, then after they drunk everything they could drink, they would go out and parade and dance and jump and skip through the streets. Paul is saying Christians should not still be turning up. That's what he's saying. Now the question then becomes, what did you do for the 4th of July?
Good question. Good question. That's good.
He said, let us not walk in rioting, and then he says in drunkenness. So you can't tell me, you can't convince me that social drinking is approved by God. Right. There are too many admonitions and too many scriptures that says otherwise. Amen. Paul is condemning rioting and drunkenness. He's dealing with the act after and also how it starts. You start drinking, and it's amazing when you think about what Paul is saying. Have you ever seen when people start drinking, they get more energy? They get more energy, they talk more, they're more active, they say more things, they do more things. Paul is condemning that. Paul says, not in rioting and drunkenness, and then he says, you can't walk in chambering. What is that? The word chambering comes from another word, means bed chamber. Paul is saying, if hotel rooms and mattresses could talk,
I hate you, Freeman. It's all right.
they would tell some stories that some people might not want to hear. It's a synonym for fornication. Chambering, the bed, the couch, wherever people fornicate. Paul said we can't do that.
All right.
Paul is saying that. What does he say?
And wanting this.
Wanting this excessive lust. Unbridled lust. Some people just are like, I just can't control myself. I have no self-restraint, no self-control. They are incontinent, as the Bible says. Well, we got to be able to have some self-restraint, some self-control. Paul says you can't walk in wantonness, not in envying and what else? In strife.
Strife and envy.
Paul said we just got to walk honestly. There is a certain ethic that comes along with being a child of God.
Amen.
And that ethic ought to be seen in every day of our lives, that we are the people of God, and that when people see us, they know that we are genuine and we are authentic Christian by the way that we carry ourselves. Paul said we got to walk by faith, then we got to walk honestly, not doing those things that the world is doing. Not only that, but look at Ephesians chapter 2. We got to walk in good works. For by grace are you saved through faith.
And then not of yourselves.
And then not of yourselves what?
It is the gift of God.
Grace is a gift from God. It is a gift that none of us deserve. That none of us merited. We haven't been so good that God should have saved us. But he did in his grace. What does he say in verse number 9?
Not of works, lest any man should boast.
You can't say I was so good that God, you know what, you owed it to me to save me. It's not a work. Salvation is not based on works. And sometimes people think that just because they do enough good work, that means God ought to save them and give them heaven. Now, we should do good works and be filled with good works as a result of God saving us. But you can't be so good, and people always say, well, I ain't haven't killed anybody. That don't mean anything to God. Amen. You got to be saved by the gospel.
All right.
So in verse number 10, what does he say?
For we are his workmanship.
We're his workmanship.
Created in Christ Jesus.
You see, you got to be in Christ.
Unto good works, which God had before ordained that we should walk in them.
God has before ordained that before we became Christians, we got to walk in good works. We got to be willing to help people.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Do things for people. You know what? You can't charge for everything. No. Somebody need lift to the grocery store. I mean, you going right that way.
That's it.
That's all I need to go to the grocery store. You got the gas money.
He was all right. He's good.
I mean, there's a certain ethic that comes with being children of God. And so we can't charge for everything. We can't say, well, you know what, you owe me later. I mean, it's just a good thing to be able to help people. You know why? Because God helped us. Jesus helped us. And so as a result, in turn, we help others. That's why he says, be filled or walk in good works. We should look for the occasion to do good, to do good works, to give. Can you give? Can you share?
Yeah.
All right.
You think about all the stuff we got of our houses, all the junk. I mean, get that stuff away. Share some of that stuff.
Give it away, brother.
People be mad because they got to give it away. So he says we got to walk in good works. We got to share. We got to help. We got to be caring. Those are all good works. That's the Christian ethic. Paul said this is how we walk. We got to walk in good works. What you think about it? When last time you did something good for somebody?
All right.
I mean, I'm not talking about going out of your way to do it. I'm talking about waking up this morning or tomorrow morning and say, you know what? Let me see what I can do for somebody else today.
Okay.
Amen.
What can I do to go out of my way to make somebody else day a little bit better? Because you know, we all can give a man at the corner store or at the corner $5 or $1.
Yeah.
When he's in the action, we can do that because we're in the light. But what about going out of our way
Okay.
to change and help somebody?
Yeah.
Paul is saying we got to walk in good works. That's what Enoch did. He walked, and he walked with God. In the second place, in Ephesians chapter 4, Paul says,
Therefore,
right,
the prisoner of the Lord,
beseech you that you do what?
walk worthy of the vocation wherein you are called.
Paul said you got to walk worthy of the vocation with your call. What you say you believe must coincide with how you behave.
Amen.
So the thing I know about the Bible is belief and behavior go together.
Amen.
You got to walk worthy of your vocation. If you say you're a Christian, you got to live like a Christian.
Yes.
And so many times, the first thing people want to say when they know they're living contrary to the will of God, well, you know, ain't nobody perfect. We already know that.
Right.
We already know that.
Yeah.
God already knows that. But you cannot allow that to be an excuse for you to live any kind of way.
Amen. Amen.
You cannot go around treating people wrong, lying to people, stealing, killing, cheating, being a criminal and say, well, you ain't nobody perfect. We got to understand, Paul said you got to walk worthy of the vocation wherewith you're called. And the reason he had to say that, if you go to Ephesians chapter 4, beginning at verse number 25, some of the Christians at Ephesus have forgot that. Notice that. Notice what he said. Ephesians 4:25 beginning, wherefore putting away what?
Lying.
Putting away lying. You see somebody has to start lying.
Be arrogant.
That's not worthy. That's not walking worthy when you start lying to folk. What does he say in the next verse?
Speak arrogant unto with his neighbor. For we are members one of another.
Then what does he say next?
Be angry
Some of them have started prolonging anger.
and sin not.
That's not worthy. You can't go around every day as a Christian, mad at the world. Upset with everybody. Because things don't go your way. Paul is saying you got to put away from you anger. What does he say?
Need to give place to the devil.
Don't give place to the devil. Don't go around here living contrary to the will of God and keep saying the devil made me do it. Don't give place to the devil. You can flee from the devil. What else does he say?
Let him that stole steal no more.
He says, stop stealing. Some of the Christian athletes that's not worthy. You know, brothers and sisters, if we see you on the news, Channel 3, Channel 10, they got you down there at 201 Poplar for theft. I don't understand why nowadays people think they can get away with stealing. They got cameras everywhere. Cameras everywhere. They even got cameras.